A cascade of draconian government measures has already led to so much uncertainty, so much pain and suffering in this country and across the globe, and more has been threatened. The outrage you must feel, the outrage so many feel.
Harvard University commencement speaker making a not-so-subtle remark this week about the Trump administration's actions without naming the president. This as a judge intends to block Trump's effort to stop Harvard from enrolling foreign students. The president is continuing to hit out against Harvard on Friday.
I don't think Harvard's been acting very nicely. I think Columbia wants to get to the bottom of the problem. They've acted very well. And there are other institutions, too, that are acting, but Harvard's trying to be a big shot. The money's given to them like gravy.
For more, let's bring in American First Institute Chair of the Center for Education Opportunity, Erica Donalds. Erica, thanks for joining us this afternoon. The president and the administration have really focused on Harvard here, but do you think that what Harvard has experienced, some of the other elite Ivy League schools are soon going to experience as well?
Well, actually, they are experiencing some of the same requirements that Harvard has. The difference is that Harvard has dug in their feet and they are refusing to comply with reasonable expectations from the administration to keep students safe. First of all, especially those Jewish students that were getting intimidated, bullied, to block and hold accountable those who are being violent or vandalizing the campus. And Harvard has just refused to comply with federal law and with reasonable requests of the administration, and they're being made an example of.
Do you think the courts are going to allow these visa revocations or the blocking of students internationally to stand, or is this going to take some time to work through the courts? Do you think Congress is going to have to get involved?
Ultimately, I do think that the administration will be given and showcase the right to block student visas. As Secretary Marco Rubio has said, it is the purview of the Secretary of State to say which students will have the privilege of studying in the United States of America. Why do we fund these colleges and universities with federal dollars? Why do we allow foreign students to study in our institutions? To advance American interests. And we have forgotten that in higher education in this country. Certainly Harvard has. And instead of using these privileges to advance American interests, they are allowing anti-Americanism, violence, and really working against the culture and the American people in their institution. It's not going to be tolerated any longer.
Do you think as the administration examines students who are applying to come to the United States and the whole visa process, do you think that they're going to catch up or slow down the process for students who don't have a political agenda, students who just are the best and brightest from their countries and do want to study at the best universities in the world?
I think those individuals will come through the process. As we saw with DOGE, our processes, and I'm sure including student visas and the process of giving those out, are so antiquated and inefficient that there are ways to expand what they are looking at, including social media, while still making those processes more efficient for those best and brightest from around the world that we want to welcome in to America to study here and to continue to advance our innovative interests and competitiveness around the world.
And very quickly, at MIT's graduation the other day, Jewish students walked out because of a pro-Palestinian remarks given by the president of the student body there. Do you think that this will continue to be an issue on college campuses as they return for fall?
Well, if the response is like MIT to this act of aggression against Jewish students who were at that ceremony to celebrate their accomplishments, they did block this individual from participating in the remaining commencement exercises. They actually recently announced also they're getting rid of their DEI programs there at MIT. And so I think they're responding appropriately in contrast to Harvard, as we were just talking about. And they're the ones who are going to set the tone on their campus on whether this type of activity and non-civil discourse is going to be allowed. So the response from MIT was the right response, but obviously they have allowed this to fester on their campus, and it's going to take some time and intentionality to get rid of that.
All right, Erica Donalds, thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Republican
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.